All right, Bri. Why didn't we record after game one instead of game two?
I was in San Francisco, and I only got to catch the second and the fourth quarter. So I only saw the Draymond ejection and then Ja missing the layup for the Warriors to win it.
You didn't even go to the Chase Center and go hang out with all the crazies?
Oh goodness, no, not even. I was looking at some Oracle Park now. I was looking at some Giants times, but didn't fit the schedule.
Okay, so game two, Warriors versus Grizzlies. It was a lot like game one, I felt. A little bit more of a Memphis version of game one. I felt in game one, the Warriors did not play great, but they still played well enough to win. Some of that was Memphis didn't play great in clutch time. In this game, it was kind of the other way around. I thought the Warriors, again, didn't play great. Neither did Memphis. But when it came down to it, push comes to shove, you had one guy who's able to create his own shot, who's able to get to the hole, who's able to get I don't know how many shots Ja made in a row, but in the paint, it was ridiculous. And the Warriors didn't have that. Now Steph was trying to go to the hole, and this is something that they don't have, which is it'd be nice for when Steph goes to the hole to be able to drop it off and then have a finisher, but that's just not the way that they play. So rough game. I thought, Memphis just made the shots when they needed to make the shots. And that was really the story is shot making. And, that's basketball in a nutshell kind of. But let's talk about some of the main topics here. My 3 points that I wrote up. So game starts really chippy and it goes against the Warriors again. Game one, Draymond makes an unfortunate swipe that hits Brandon Clark in the face, and he gets a flagrant 2, gets kicked out. Now they go on and they win without him, which was awesome. But in game two, I don't know, what are we, 3 minutes into the game? And Dillon Brooks throws a clothesline at Gary Payton's head, and Gary Payton is going to the ground. And like you're never supposed to do when you go to the ground, he posted his arm, and it seems like maybe he hyperextended his elbow, but I didn't see they didn't have a good angle of his elbow doing anything other than breaking his fall. And they lose, the guy who is whose job is to really guard Ja in these late game situations. They very much missed him today. And then soon thereafter, Xavier Tillman throws an errant elbow, though this was more a sort of a reaction. It wasn't purposeful at all, but it hit Draymond in the eye, and Draymond's eye was kind of swollen. So game starts really chippy for the second time in a row. And again, the Warriors are the ones who get the worst of it. And I didn't know if Gary Payton being out was going to really affect them. But with 2 minutes left in the game, I thought it really affected them.
I mean, do we need to pull up Ja Morant's stat line to show?
I mean, geez, it's ridiculous. Ja was if you just take away his 3-pointers, he was 10 for 19 and then 12 of 13 from the line. The 3-pointers, he still shot them well too. 5 of 12, 41%, 42%. 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He's a plus 13. There's a moment, it was right at the end of the third quarter. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Kuminga and him got tangled up, and so I guess maybe he got his eye poked or he got his eye scratched, and he looked like he was really hurting, but he sat in the beginning of the fourth like normal and came back. It was totally fine. It just was a killer, an absolute killer.
Yeah, I mean, Ja Morant said that, and we didn't see, like, that was weird. I thought they would at least replay that for us to see it, but I wasn't sure if Kuminga poked him. You mentioned that he could have poked himself by accident. Like, we don't really know what happened there. I guess it's easy to probably say Kuminga poked him. But yeah, Ja Morant was literally saying on the court that he can't see. It was the possession to end the third quarter, and I forgot who had the ball. It might have been Melton or Jones. Kind of was like, okay, we don't have anything. Let's kick it to Ja. And Ja's like waving at his face, like, I can't see. I need to pass this to someone. So, I mean, Ja Morant couldn't see for 3 minutes. I felt like Draymond Green couldn't see for the whole game. That eye looked tough. Like, it looked like he was playing with one eye that whole game.
This game is there's so many moments in a basketball game where you go, if this thing happened this way instead of this way, it kind of changes the trajectory of the game. And there's a loose ball where Draymond, as the bigger player, goes up with Ja, and Ja, because he's the smaller player, him and Draymond's bodies collide, and Ja's body flails out to the side, and Draymond gets called for a loose ball foul. And I don't exactly remember what the score was. I think it was 1 point either way. But if the Warriors get that, and then they run, and then they can score, then that changes it. But Ja gets the call, they get the ball back out, and it kind of stops any momentum. Game is is a bunch of flukes and a bunch of things that happen, and if they happen a different way, then you could see it. But that's what makes the game so fun. You can't
Mhm.
go, oh, let's replay this every single time.
Yeah.
And that would just make it a really bad game. But yeah, there's moments
And
in every game where I'm sure Memphis probably says the same thing in game one.
And I mean, that's what they're trying to avoid is all these a lot of replay. It was a lot of replays last year, at least in the regular season. I remember this specifically. There was a Warriors Blazers game where it was just every 5 seconds there was a replay to see if it was called out on the right person or if it was just a foul or not. It was ridiculous. But with that specific Draymond play, I believe you're talking about. It was one of those where it felt like you think like, okay, do they have a challenge? But at the same time, it's one of those fouls where I guess if it's in the middle of the game, it could be a foul. But if it's late game, regardless of what you think, late game fouls, like when it's crunch time, those fouls are usually different than like a regular foul. It usually you play a little more. They let you play a little bit more at the
The
end.
refs don't want to decide the games because they don't want to be the reason why a team wins or loses.
Exactly. And I thought that was one of those where you don't call it in the crunch time, but if you go and review it and you look for conclusive evidence to turn it over, you won't find it.
Yeah.
So it was one of those unfortunate ones.
Yeah, and look, Draymond, he even said in his podcast, which I didn't listen to because I don't like podcasts, the style in which he does them. I think they could be very entertaining. It's just not kind of what I like, information rather than opinion so much.
And he
But
has no one pushing back against him
no, yeah,
either.
I mean, I would love to go back and forth with him. And our buddy Ben, he was talking about he produced Draymond's first podcast with Marcus Thompson, and I only remember hearing maybe 1 or 2 episodes with Marcus and Draymond. And Marcus would be a great guy to push back because Marcus has got respect. He's very smart and he's slick in what he can say, and he could he could have fun with it. But
Yeah.
just Draymond by himself, I'm just not that interested. But he even said like some of this is just my reputation. Now that didn't make me feel good as a Warriors fan because I'm like, well, then we're gonna get the butt end of every one of these calls. But overall, I thought they played hard. Nobody left anything out there, and both teams like both. Desmond Bain is playing, and this guy can barely walk. It seems like he tweaked his back in some way. Clay's got the knee injury. Steph's got the foot thing. Draymond had the calf thing, which was the back thing. Like nobody's 100% in any way. Jaws crash into the floor every game, and you watch and you go, these guys leave it all out there, and that's what makes playoffs so great.
Yeah. I mean, Clay was tough tonight. I'm assuming that's going to be one of your
It'll
points.
be one of our points. We're not going to blame Clay for the whole thing, but
Yeah, I
I
know.
did think that he's trying to heat check himself into getting hot, and there are opportunities for him to make plays not shooting the basketball that I don't think he sees.
Okay, while we're on this first topic though of the game starts chippy, this was reminiscent of the Dylan Brooks play was reminiscent of Grayson Allen on Alex Caruso that
Mhm.
everyone deemed pretty dirty, pretty intentional. It got Grayson Allen a suspension. I forgot how many games. Can you see something like that happening to Dylan Brooks, especially in the playoffs?
No, I don't think so, and the reason why is because he's not the big bad wolf, The Warriors have the big bad wolf, and I think it would create this, and some of it is the playoffs, right? Some of it is in the regular season. If you miss 5 games, you just miss 5 games. In the playoffs, if you miss 1 game, that is a large chunk of the playoffs. The thing that I was actually kind of frustrated with when I was looking at these the way that they do these flagrants in these texts is, so let's say Draymond gets to 4 points, then he misses a game. If he gets another point, he misses another game. That's
And
crazy.
then if he gets like another one, I think he misses 2. It's
2
something
games.
like that. Yeah.
And yet, I forgot, Kerr had mentioned it, and he was saying something like, you could play one game and the points are the same as if you played every single game in the NBA playoffs. Like, you don't get any bonus points for playing longer. It's just the same rule for everybody, which is kind of
That's a valid
silly.
point. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
agree
is
with
kind
you
of
there.
silly.
I will say though, what we didn't report yet is that Gary Payton II has a fractured left elbow. He will have an MRI tomorrow, and then from Adrian Wojnarowski, the NBA will have a decision to make on further punishment for Dylan Brooks, who was ejected for the flagrant 2 foul that led to Payton's injury.
You know, I don't know. I know Kerr is very mad.
Oh yeah.
So here's the quote from Anthony Slater. The line is pretty clear. You don't hit a guy when he's in midair, club him, or break his elbow. That's where the line is. And he said that Dylan Brooks broke the code. That there's something for having a coach who's won a lot of championships, because he has seen a lot of basketball from when he was with the Bulls, from when he was with the Spurs, when he was the GM, when he was doing the playoffs. And I find it interesting that he is so aggressive going after the other team, not because I don't think I don't think he's being fake. I think he really believes it. More so just the bulletin board stuff for the other team, right? You're kind of like inspiring the other team to really get upset at you, which could enhance, maybe make their goals a little bit more clear. I find it to be super intriguing that he is so aggressive when he sees stuff like that. I mean, but he's speaking his truth, but at the same time, I feel like there's a little bit of tact to it. There's a little bit of strategy to it, where you can maybe you keep it in your locker room, and then when you come to the podium, you say it in a different way. But he's just a truthful guy, right? He sees it and he has to say it. And if I'm Dylan Brooks, I kind of go and like, why is this coach going at me so hard? I get it if it's Draymond or if it's Steph, if they want to call me, I'm going to take their call, but not their coach.
I mean, maybe it's a little context. I don't know if Kerr's thinking about it at the moment, but it seemed like GP was finally, last man on the rotation. It was him or Avery Bradley. He
Yeah,
gets GP. He was on the team the year before as the two-way guy, and it seemed like he was finally healthy for a stretch of games to get some playoff run. Had an amazing game 5 against Denver. Looked like he had a really good game 1, although I missed most of it against Memphis.
he was
And
excellent. He was really
exactly
excellent.
what Tim Kawakami did say though is Kawakami's at the game, so he's not seeing any of the TNT
Yeah.
interviews, and he was saying like Kerr looks really animated. Someone tell me what he said on that TNT interview after the first quarter, and it was basically like the reporter was kind of saying like, look, it was a very physical first quarter, and Kerr was like, it wasn't physical, like that was dirty.
It was dirty. Yeah.
And so I mean, the Grizzlies are gonna see that on replay
Oh yeah.
after the game for sure.
And the other thing about that, and I'm just thinking from a psychological perspective, obviously the NBA locker room is probably just, an insanely competitive, but also very, like, in order to play at the high level that these guys play at and to be able to control their emotions, there is a mental mastery that those guys have, right? They're able to, like, forget about all the crowd that's there yelling and screaming at them, and they're able to focus on the game. And there's like, they don't get enough credit for that part of the NBA. People just think it's athletics and everything. No, no, no. There's a mental mastery that these guys have. And so inside that locker room, if you're the Warriors, I feel like you're like, look, we can win without GP. And I feel like what Kerr is saying is, they just took out one of our aces, and now I'm frustrated. In so many words, like, I'm sure that's not the focus of it. The focus is, my guy is hurt. He works so hard, like you said. He works so hard to make this team. He's done so much, and to take that away from him with a dirty play, I get that piece of it. But the other piece of it is like, now what are we going to do without him? And I feel like if I'm Jordan Poole or I'm Steph or I'm Clay, Wiggins, I take that to heart and go, oh, like now I have to step up a little bit more on defense because this guy is killing us. And if GP's there, he probably doesn't hurt them as often as he did late in the game. And it may be a little bit of a different game.
Agreed. The last thing I will say is I'm not sure if this is confirmed or not. I feel like I've seen this when it was between GP and Avery Bradley. Bob Myers wanted Bradley. Steve Kerr heavily vouched for Gary Payton. Not sure if that's true.
I don't remember what happened. The one thing I do remember is that the players wanted Bradley, like Steph and Draymond and those guys. They wanted Bradley because that's like, he's an OG. He knows what it's like. He's been here before. We don't know that about Peyton. At least we know that about Avery Bradley.
Steph literally called Bradley one of the best players to guard him in that interview that you're referencing.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. The way the whole thing works from, the preseason until now, it's part of the story and it's part of the process of everything, which makes it so intriguing. Okay. So let's get to what my second point is. There was a Jekyll and Hyde Wiggins game. And I feel like because of what he is asked to do, the offensive piece of this is, I think most fans are willing to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. He's playing a lot of 4. He's rebounding his butt off. He's battling inside. Marcus Thompson had a really good piece on him today about being able to play the 4, and Wiggins just saying, like, I just got to do it. The guy had 9 rebounds tonight. He had 16 points, and when he was able to slash, when he was able to cut and get advantageous matchups, he was great. If you take away his 3-pointers, he's a 5 of 8 from the field and 3 of 4 from the line, 1 of 7 from 3-point land. And I kind of wonder, like, if you were to ask him, if he was being honest, if he's being honest, he probably doesn't make any excuses whatsoever. Like in his own honesty, because he's not going to make an excuse to why did I miss this shot? But if you get him kind of away from the cameras and away from the microphones, I wonder if he's just like, man, this is hard. Like, these playoffs are hard. I am tired. My body hurts. I don't have the lift. And so if that is the case, they have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. They play Saturday, right? I think it's Saturday.
Check really quick.
I think it's Saturday, and I think it's Saturday and Monday.
You're correct.
So they have 3 days off, and maybe some of that is, okay, let's get Wiggs his legs back. Maybe we get Andre back. Maybe Andre helps us with that GP role, whatever it is. But the hard part is you can't really be upset at Wiggins missing these shots because he is so effective on the other end. And it's not only the 9 rebounds, it's the keeping the ball alive, tapping the ball up in the air so that your boy Otto Porter gets the rebound, right? It's he's defending, at the top of the key. So it's a lot of Ja stuff. And I'm not saying that he's doing the greatest job on Ja. He's going from guarding Brandon Clark on one possession and then Ja on another possession, which is just a wide scope. But I think Warriors fans are probably a little frustrated that he's missing those threes. But I feel like they understand basketball enough to be like, yeah, he might be missing these shots, but gosh, he's just doing so much on the other end for us.
I would like to think that's what all Warriors fans think, but I don't know if totally the case and what they think. But I'm with you. I'm right there with you. Wiggins was, I mean, I think Eric said it. It was just like a classic Wiggins experience when we had him on the podcast, because it's just like you said, the Jekyll and Hyde stuff. So, but yeah, 1 for 7 from 3. That's tough. But like I was saying, that Otto Porter was just so awesome in offensive rebounding. Like you said, Wiggins kind of makes the physical play and then maybe tips it to Otto Porter Jr. I think the underrated thing for both of them there is, I wonder if there's a stat like how many fouls they drew, just being so physical, being surrounded by 3 Grizzlies and just getting up as high as you can. And then the Grizzlies will get called for a foul there. I thought that was super valuable.
Or in Jaren Jackson's opinion, no way that was a foul. That guy fouls the most of anybody I've ever seen who then is so dismayed when he gets called for a foul. Like
I can't believe he didn't think
whistle,
that last one was.
every time the whistle blows on Jaren Jackson, he should just raise his hand and go, "Yeah, you guys got me," because they're
Yeah.
all fouls.
I think every like when you were friends or when you're as close to someone as you are, like Jordan Poole and Jaren Jackson Jr., I feel like I pay a little bit more attention to the communication they have in games to see how competitive they are, and they're both uber competitive.
Yeah.
But I think there was a clip where you could see Jaren Jackson's arguing that foul. He's fouled out, and he's telling the ref that's not a foul, it's not a foul. And Poole's just kind of like looking at him the whole time, and they're like right next to each other. The camera zoomed in, and Poole's like, "That was a foul." That was funny. But I mean, for Wiggins though.
He was upset because he got suckered by Draymond. Is what?
Oh happened. Yeah. But Wiggins had like, oh my god, I jumped out of my seat on that dunk.
It's like the best. I think it's the best dunk I've seen all year.
Yeah, I mean that one, the cat one. I mean, a couple Kuminga ones, but that one was
the jaw one later was also awesome.
Oh yeah.
He jumped from so far away. It was crazy
and just hung. Yeah, Jesus.
Clay was like, I'm just gonna move out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
This is not gonna be good for me.
I don't want to keep predicting or knock on wood, but if the Warriors continue to like advance, this has to go on par with some of the toughest competition in terms of big name players that they faced. Like you go from Jokic, MVP, Ja Morant will finish top 5 in MVP this year. He's had a hell of a year. You see Devin Booker, who finished in top 5 MVP this year, or you see Luka, who was top 6. And then if you keep going, it's Jesus.
Well,
Christ,
the way I look at it is I go back to the beginning of this when they were winning championships, right? LeBron 4 years in a row, James Harden when he was at the peak of his power, Chris Paul when he was, he's still in the later years of his career, he's still good, but the Houston had signed him to beat the Warriors, and they beat Chris Paul. You see those guys, and Josh just as good as the best guys that the Warriors have played in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That is so crazy. And the thing is like I'm like, we're watching the games and I'm screaming out defense on things, and Ja goes up with the left hand, and I go, okay, Clay, here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna go right underneath your arm, and he's gonna scoop it. Just don't even play the up. Don't even play that, because he's not gonna come here. He likes to do the scoop. Play the scoop. And Clay didn't play the scoop. He didn't hear me. I'm just, come on, Clay, play the scoop. And he's not listening. But like, you watch him, and it just seems like, can't we like block one of these shots? But he hangs in the air for so long. He's so graceful. He's like, it's almost like he's able to jump, and then like he can analyze while he's in there. And this was Michael Jordan. This is exactly what Michael Jordan would do. Michael would jump, and he would analyze the situation and go, okay, now I see everything, and here's how I have to finish, either on top of you, underneath you, or take the bump and finish. Like Ja can see all of that stuff. And, it'd be interesting to see how he was able to play if the Warriors did have a real shot blocker. And I don't want to bring up the Rudy Gobert rumor that I heard from Brian Windhorst, because I think him and Draymond don't like each other very much. But like, it would be interesting to see, like, if the Warriors did have a legit shot blocker, would that change what Ja did? Would he do more floaters? Probably more floaters. Probably more pull up, mid-range stuff, and not as much attacking the basket. But when the guy guarding the basket is 6'6" Draymond, and you could essentially just jump over him, you're not as scared going in there. And it's just amazing to see. The guy's he's terrific.
Totally. Yeah, I don't know if I want to push the Rudy Gobert. It was fun pushing the Rudy Gobert stuff, predicting him to the Suns. So when it's your team, I'm like, I don't know, because it would be Wiggins. And
so here was my argument. Now, it's not that I like him or don't like him, and he makes a lot of money, so it'd have to be this trade-off of, someone else doesn't get paid. But I was saying, what if him and Draymond together as the defensive 4 and 5, and Draymond can play his free safety role, Rudy covers the middle, and then you just have the wings just running around the perimeter. It's kind of intriguing. and then he would just play the JaVale role on offense, right? He would just kind of hover around the rim. You'd throw it up for lobs, and he wouldn't touch the ball unless he was in a dribble handoff, and that would be it, really. And I think it could work, but yeah, it doesn't seem like the right mix of personalities there.
Do you? I feel like it would be the greatest defensive duo of all time in terms of like,
yeah, who's better? Who would be better?
The front court. Yeah,
I can't even think.
It's like,
I mean,
Rodman, Pippen, and MJ.
Well, yeah, I mean, those are your 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. But as a 4, 5, 4, 5, yeah, that'd be ridiculous. Bill Russell, and I guess whoever you put next to Bill Russell. All right, so let's move off of Wiggs, but really shooting for the Warriors was the biggest issue. And this number that I'm going to put up, it hurts, and it hurts bad. Clay, Steph, JP, and Wiggs were 3 of 37 from 3. And I feel like one of those shouldn't count for Steph because he banked it in. There was a moment where I thought he was going to get really hot. He made one, and then he came down. It was one of those actions where he's dribbling, and he's kind of in the middle, and he's looking at guys, and it's sort of forcing the Grizzlies to run at guys, and they just kind of forget about Clay, or forget about Steph. And he kind of pulls up from maybe it's just off to the right from the top of the key, and he missed the complete rim and hit the other side of the backboard. And I was like, it's just not going to be one of the, because every time Clay shot, in your mind, you're thinking he's got to make one. If he makes one, then he can make two. But you want to know the Clay shot where I'm just like, I don't even have to watch. He's going to miss. Is when he takes more than 3 dribbles. The defense knows exactly what he's doing. They want him to do it. He takes a couple dribbles, sticks his butt into, and tries to do the Dirk fadeaway.
The fadeaway baseline.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, you can make one, but I want you to shoot that shot every single time if I'm the defense. And as a Warriors fan, I'm like, this is the worst shot you could possibly take in this offense, because he takes it early in the shot clock. There's no rebounders. I feel like the players are like, we just got to let Clay do it because that's just, he's trying to get himself hot. But yeah, it was a rough game for him. I kind of feel bad for him because you know how hard he takes it. I mean, you remember in the regular season, like he was sitting there with his head in his hands and just like, I got to be better. I got to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I feel he's probably, feels the worst out of anybody tonight. Maybe except for Draymond, because Draymond's probably got a giant headache from
and
the
GP's
elbow
got a broken elbow,
and GP's got a broken elbow. But I think he's super hard on himself. The only thing that I would like to see from him is he doesn't have to shoot so contested. That's not the proof that you are a good shooter, is by making contested threes. The proof for him should be, I got to make the pass and then relocate and then get an open 3, just like Steph does, right? Just like the guy in the backcourt with him, which he does. When he does it, it's great. But I think he needs to start doing that a little bit more, because I think his mentality is like, I need to prove that I'm still the best, and thus, I'm going to shoot over these guys because I'm taller than these guys, and it has not been working. Clay was 2 of 12 from 3-point land today. He only took 7 non-3-pointers. He made 3. And the other thing is that, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He doesn't really do the other stuff when he's just throwing them up. Like, I feel like it should be a little bit reversed in that, Clay is 5 of 19, and I feel like I could live with 5 of 14, but let's spread those other 5 shots to Jordan Poole or Steph. I'm watching that game. I thought Jordan Poole played like crap. Jordan Poole's a +2, and he had 20 points. It's just he had the foul trouble because he had to play the GP minutes, on defense. But I feel like I have such less patience with Jordan, and then I watched Jordan, and Jordan played better than Clay. Jordan shot better than Steph. And you look at it and you go, man, maybe, just maybe, we trust this guy a little bit more, because they were late in the game. I think the Warriors were down 4. maybe 3 or 4. Steph it has the ball. Jordan Poole's coming all the way around the left side. He cuts all the way to the right corner. And it's quite possible that there was some extended arms in Steph's way to not pass the ball, but there was no defender on Poole. And if he kicks that shot out and Jordan Poole makes that shot, different game. But Steph just ate it and was like, "Oh, let me find Clay," and then clank.
I
That
can't
wasn't
believe it. Like looking down at the line, 2 for 12 Clay, 3 for 11 Steph, 1 for 7 Wiggs, 1 for 6 Jordan Poole. Like
yeah.
that is so tough.
7 of 38 from 3-point as a team. Minnesota shot better. They made twice as many. They took 7 more threes, but they also made 20 out of 21 free throws. I think it was Looney who missed 2. GP missed 1, but that was because he had the bad elbow.
A broken elbow.
This poor guy's got to shoot the free throw with a bad elbow. Wiggs missed 1, but really, like, that's not where the game is lost. The game is just lost in the shooting is just horrendous, and it's not like Clay took some contested ones. Steph took a couple of contested ones, but Wiggins wide open. There were some wide open Jordan Poole ones. Otto Porter could get any shot he wanted if he wanted it, right? He could have any shot, that he could want. It's right there for the taking, but he doesn't want to shoot it. So those are the main points. And look, Ja is a superstar of superstars. I think they're playing him defensively okay, but it's just when he decides, okay, I'm not going to shoot this long 3. I'm just going to take your defender one-on-one. They just can't stop him. Like, I wonder what would happen if they throw a guy at him earlier in that motion and live with the other guy shooting. But that's kind of not been the strategy. They don't want the other guys involved. They want him to have a high usage rate, which worked in game 1, but did not work in game 2. But your boy, Zaire Williams, 4 of 8 from 3. And these are wide open Ja threes, right? The reason why he's got wide open threes is because Ja. Jaren Jackson, he had actually, he was a plus. So defensively, he mattered, but 3 of 14 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3. Poor Desmond Bane. I'll say poor Desmond Bane after this series is over. I don't feel that bad for him sucking, but you can tell he's clearly hurt. But Brandon Clark 4-4. I don't think he meant a whole lot because they sort of figured out what they wanted to do with him. He was a minus 17. The only minus who played big minutes, actually, DeAnthony Melton played 25 minutes. He's minus 2, but Brandon Clark minus 17. Kyle Anderson, they figured him out, which is crazy because I feel like Kyle Anderson always kills them. But I like seeing it. I like seeing them being able to defend him. You said that Draymond is treating him like Aaron Gordon.
It felt like very Aaron Gordon treatment. Like, I'm just gonna try to get you mentally psyched out. Like, here, have the 3. You'll probably you're probably capable of hitting one, but he is capable of hitting one, obviously. But Draymond, it's like the mental, trying to get him mentally.
Do you know they treat Draymond like that too? He just doesn't let it.
He doesn't fall for it.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna shoot it.
But
you know what that music
I know
means.
what that means.
It is time for the Kuminga Watch. Now, me, you, and Ben Cruz, we were chit-chatting, and you were like, oh, I can't wait for this Kuminga Watch. Like, he mattered. It wasn't the second quarter. I feel like he had a really good quarter, and I know he played a little bit late, but maybe not enough for my taste. I think they still don't trust him, but I liked the minutes. I really liked his minutes. He had 9 points, but he was even for the plus minus. So he wasn't giving it up too much on the other end. But what did you think about Kuminga tonight?
I liked his minutes. I do think that where they don't trust him, I could be wrong, but we were saying in the chat, like, oh, he just looked off Steph. Oh, yeah. He just looked off Clay. So maybe it's just offensively they don't totally trust him. I feel like he's good defensively, but maybe when Ja tries the ISO, he might make a dumb foul like he was doing earlier in the season. But watching Kuminga tonight, it honestly felt, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it felt like I was just watching Minnesota versus Memphis again. I was like, oh, drunk series. Kuminga, he was just all over the place, man. Yeah. But the Warriors definitely could use it at the right moments, and I thought that he was good. I thought that he was really good for them.
They used him. I thought in a good situation and where he could excel. My guess is where they frustrate or where he frustrates them is when he always has to ask Draymond who he's supposed to guard. I don't know if you see that, but he'll like point. He's like, and then they point. And he's like, okay, okay. Like I don't know why he doesn't know. Like maybe it's just like a
Yeah, I don't
uh,
know.
maybe it's a moment of nervousness or something. But I feel like there's only 5 guys on the court, and everyone's going to their guy, which kind of leaves your guy. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know why he's confused about that, but I love watching him play. He is he's someone who you're kind of like, I wish this was Kuminga 3 years from now, because if we had that Kuminga, we would blow this Memphis team out of the water.
Mhm.
And the basketball doesn't work that way. They'll probably have to make a decision on Wiggs after next year, and Kuminga could slide into that spot. But yeah, it's gonna be fun watching him, and it was
And
fun.
I
It was
think,
fun watching him tonight.
like you say, how John Morant and MJ are able just to get in the air and
Yeah,
analyze. I saw one of those from Kuminga tonight, and I hope that continues. Like he develops that, because that's very useful. Like as athletic as he is, if he could just get up in the air as high as he usually does, take a second to analyze, because all he wants to do is throw the ball down into the hoop. But he did one where he drove to the basket, and then he flew past the basket and was in midair just trying to search for the 3-point shooter to kick it to, and I was like, that was pretty good. But I think that might be it on my Kuminga watch. Was there anything else?
no, it's a good
Mm,
one. It was a good
good one.
Kuminga watch.
I think there was a really good one after game 1 too, but I missed it. So
Yeah. That's why you got to record all the games on Hulu, because then you can just go through them again.
I know.
Um, there's one move I want him to learn, and he only has to go to the Jordan Poole school of pivot foot, because he loves doing what Fitz calls that tornado move. If he does it, pivots off of that tornado move, and stops, he's going to get some flybys and then some easy layups, I think. But he's got to, he's got to get some of that. He's got to go to what Shaq would call feet work school, and but that would be the thing I would say. They say all the great ones put one thing in their bag in the off season, and that could be one for Kuminga to just.
I'm super excited. Like I really hope Kuminga has just like a little bit of Jordan Poole in him, because I've heard that work ethic with Jordan Poole. I'm excited to see what Jordan Poole does in the offseason, what he brings to the table next year, and then obviously I'm super excited to see what Kuminga does too. Question for you: do you think around the NBA?
Yeah, we're gonna get to the around the NBA, but we can. This song is called "Feeding the Ducks," by the way.
Too sexy. Turn it off. Who do you think, like, do you think there's going to be any surprise rotation guys that fill the GP spot? Like when we saw some Damian Lee tonight, you think it's just a little bit more Damian Lee, or did they, Iguodala might come back, so actually we might not even have to.
Iguodala.
Mhm.
But the problem with Iguodala is, you talk about someone who doesn't want to shoot. I haven't seen anybody in the history of the NBA who doesn't want to shoot more than Andre, and who the defense just sags off of, which makes him not want to shoot even more.
This feels new, but also we didn't really see him for most of the season, but I don't remember them backing off as much as they did in Denver. Like that.
Well, who knows? Maybe Memphis doesn't play him the same way, but Denver just treated him so disrespectfully.
They should. If Memphis is smart, they should play him like that, because they're giving him the Aaron Gordon treatment too, or the Draymond treatment, and Iguodala is not willing to shoot it at all.
No. But I mean, he can get out in open floor. He can run. He's going to play
Yeah.
smart defense. But I think he's a spurts guy now. He's not a guy that you just go, okay, we got 12 minutes left in this game, and he's playing the whole 12 minutes. It's probably not who he is anymore. But still, I'll take his 5 minutes of smart basketball. As long as maybe they can surround him with the shooting, so maybe he's the only guy who isn't going to pull the trigger.
And yeah, Wiggins doesn't get. Iguodala doesn't. He doesn't get that much minutes for the Warriors. But let's say you put him on like the Minnesota Timberwolves, they probably sweep that series, just because Iguodala is such a good vet and knowing how to just slow the game down at the right time, and that's completely what the Minnesota Timberwolves needed.
Yeah. All right, so I didn't make a new slide or a new graphic for the around the NBA segment. So for game 2, maybe it's Tatum, because the Celtics blew out the Bucks in game 2, or in game 1 it was Giannis who blew out the Celtics in the first game. Now, what's interesting about this series is, like, you watch the Warriors in Memphis, and they're still shooting a lot of 3-pointers. We just mentioned, Memphis shot like 40 something 3-pointers, Warriors shot 30 something. Like Boston shoots so many 3-pointers. It's like a different basketball game, which they can because they're so athletic. They're swarming every basketball. But the flip side is like you watch this Warriors game and there's a little bit of a grit and a grind to it, which is kind of the Grizzlies mentality. They slow the game down. It's hard twos. Being really what's deciding the game. And so this game's a little different because like you have Giannis who just kind of controls the whole court. The court is like his chessboard, and it's Giannis is going like, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to get this guy, and then I'm going to do this, and then this guy does this, and like he's the whole reason, right? He's the whole reason why things happen for that team, especially with Middleton out because they don't really have anyone to bail out, with open shots. But Boston is just like, bing, 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 bing. Jason Tatum fakes like he's gonna go, and then he kicks it out for 3. Like that's how they play. So it's really interesting watching the two different styles. Like I prefer watching Milwaukee a little bit more because it feels a little bit like real basketball. And I watch Boston and it feels a little bit more like college basketball where you're just trying to find open shooters and get open 3-pointers. But I mean, it's great strategy for both sides. Who do you think is going to come out on top in this series? Because now by splitting it, the Bucks have home court going home.
I think if before the series started, I probably would have taken the Celtics in 7, just because I thought Middleton was going to be bigger, like a bigger blow than it was in game 1. But after seeing game 1, like I feel like I'm just reminded that Giannis is the best player in the league, and then I would probably say Bucks in 7. But I was really looking forward to this series in the sense that like how I'm watching Golden State versus Memphis. Even though I'm a Warriors fan, I'm sure as an NBA fan, this game. I mean, the series so far has to have been very entertaining in all aspects of it because you have like the refs in game 1 and then Ja blowing the layup, the Splash Bros, it's just all like the entertainment factors there. I feel like there's been 2 blowout games so far in a series I was really looking forward to. Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I want to go with my gut and go Celtics in 7, but I'm just gonna go Bucks because I think Giannis is him. Giannis is that guy.
So. Yeah, and I feel like I think he may be a little bit worn down. Do we know when Middleton's coming back?
He's missing the whole series.
Yeah, so I feel like Boston's going to eventually wear him down, and a lot of it is just because Tatum can almost match him, right? Like last year, I don't think Tatum could have played him up as a star versus star, and this year, if he can't, he's really close. So that's a big part of it. So Phoenix and Dallas, I know we were kind of thinking maybe Dallas gives them a little bit of a run for their money, but the way that those teams play, it almost looks like Dallas is the perfect matchup for Phoenix if you're a Phoenix fan.
Yeah, that's so tough. I was super looking forward to this series because I thought like the Warriors, the Mavericks had a pretty hot end to the season, and I just think Luka's amazing. But they play that similar offense to what the Rockets did when James Harden and Chris Paul were on that team, very heliocentric. And the only difference is that Capella could shoot threes. They have a Maxi Kleber and Powell that actually can shoot. They could play a 5 out. But the thing is, with the difference between the Capella and those stretch 5s is that then the stretch 5s aren't as good as like the pick and roll and the lob threat. But it just seems like heliocentric. Like has they made the? I heard like the only one that's made and won the finals is the Allen Iverson Sixers. So I guess it just might not be a winning success anymore. But I was really hoping that this series. I'm still hoping. I still think that Luka can. It seemed like an off night for Brunson and Dinwiddie, who were like major key pieces to the Mavericks' success, and Luka went off. So if Luka goes off again, I'd expect it. And Brunson and Dinwiddie step it up just a little bit. I mean, sure, it would look like a blowout for most of the game. I think the game everyone kept playing hard until the end. It's not like subs came in and it was only like a 10-point game to end the game.
I think the one thing that you cannot, and we talked about this as like the main theme for the unanswerable question for the Warriors and Nuggets was, health, right? And it's really caught them. It's really kicked them in the butt a little bit with GP going out, and Draymond, getting hit in the face. That stuff is so unpredictable. If I'm Dallas, you want to win one in Phoenix because you want to extend these guys. You want to extend Chris Paul into Game 7. Devin Booker's got this bad hamstring that he's probably coming back a little bit too early for. That, Jay Crowder is a super physical player and he's always in the mix. So if you're Dallas, you got to steal one in Phoenix and then you got to extend this thing as far as you can because, it's the couple of the players on that team are susceptible to injuries. And so that's why you got to extend them a little bit. And then the last series seems so sad because of no Embiid. Miami and Philadelphia. I don't even think Miami is I think Miami is a really good B+ team in the East. Like they play a certain brand of basketball and they can beat anybody, but it's like the last team that I want to see continue to go on.
Sorry, Obi. I do not want to see the Heat.
It's like I want to see Embiid. I want to see Tatum. I want to see Giannis. I don't know if I want to see Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Like, they're fine. They're okay. But I don't know if that's who I want to see come out from the East. So I'm kind of just slightly just rooting against them in all the series. But that seems like a foregone conclusion if they go up 2-0. And then if you get Embiid back, then you got to win 4 out of 5. Whew, that is tough.
Yeah, no, I think the Heat are moving on. And in the beginning of the season, Obi's been bringing it up on almost every single basketball pod we do. I swear it gets annoying. But I had said that I thought the Heat would be the 6th seed, not because of talent. I thought they were top 3 seed in terms of talent, but because you have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Kyle Lowry. Bam's not that old, but Bam, I don't think he plays 82-game series. He's always pretty injured in the regular season. Same with Jimmy. Kyle Lowry's pretty old, and it's the same thing with him. And I was right. They were very injured throughout the whole year, but what I was wrong about is that they were still able to be a 1st seed. And so I think I've been I'm a little, what's the right word here? My judgment's a little messed with because I get annoyed that Obi brings it up every time. And I'm just kind of praying. I'm like you, I'm kind of praying on their downfall a little bit. And they don't, regardless, they don't seem like a fun team to me to see in the finals. Like, not competition wise. I'm sure they're good. They're a good team. There's not that many sexy names, man. And what I was going to end with was, I was giving them a little slack. I was giving them a little, my judgment a little off again. And I'm saying, oh, the Heat have an easy trip to the finals. They get the play in. But that's what you get when you're the 1 seed. You are able, you get that, that's what happens when you play really well in the regular season. You get to play Trae Young in the first round, the cruddy Hawks. You get to play the 76ers who are without Embiid because they played a really hard series the series before. And now you're going to get to play. I have the Heat winning this, but now you get to play a Celtics or a Bucks team that absolutely killed each other in 7 games, So that's just what getting the 1st seed, you always want to get the 1st seed because that stuff will go in your favor.
Yeah. For those who may have not heard our first show, Obi is Obina. He was on our very first podcast after Warriors Nuggets game 1. I'm sure at some point he will be back, especially if the Heat move on. We'll have to bring him on. But all right, so I think that is it. I think we're done. We didn't really get to make it a pool party today, even though Jordan played fairly well. He obviously he didn't shoot as well, just like the rest of their guys. But ultimately, I think the Warriors would be happy with splitting 2 games in Memphis. If you were to say, you lose Draymond for one of those games, now, I don't think anyone would want to predict injuries, but, you lose GP and that's going to hurt. And they're going to have to figure out that scenario because the reason why GP was starting in this lineup was because of his ability to play defense. So that is a break, right? And we'll see what happens with Dillon Brooks too. If Dillon Brooks has, if he gets suspended or whatever, I hate to say that he deserves to get suspended because I don't think that he didn't mean to hurt anybody. He just made a mistake. He made a bad play. you know, if he was, you know, if he did that to Draymond, then maybe you're like, okay, that was kind of on purpose. And no one's trying to hurt GP on
You know,
purpose. It was just a
before we
bad
end it,
play. It was a reckless play.
before we end it, man, you know, I was a little too young for this, but I do remember it. Wasn't it like Saints versus Niners, and they had a little microphone in the room, and the Saints were gonna, the coach was telling them to be
Like
dirty.
a bounty, yeah.
Yeah, we need that in Memphis, man. But you know, what I will say about that play is, as a basketball player, you know, that is where you are the most vulnerable, is
Oh,
in
yeah.
the air,
Totally.
especially when you're at an angle like that. Like, you just don't do that, man. That's
He's
like
he's
play.
never
That's play Danny Green. That's like
he's never gonna block that shot ever.
never,
Never gonna block
He
that
had to
shot.
come over his head too. Like, it was a left hand to, like, you just. Oh yeah.
GP is so much more athletic than Dylan Brooks as well. Now, if it's Nemanja Bjelica and you're trying to take advantage of his non-athleticism, that's one thing. But GP rivals Wiggins and Ja when it comes to the hops. So yeah, it was just it was a bad play. It was a reckless play. If you ask him, would he do it again? He would not do it again, because he put his team into tremendous deficit by getting kicked out of that game. And you know, he's just as important as a defender as GP is. Does that mean he should have to sit out the whole series? Like, if the world was fair, maybe. But I'll be interested. You know, I'll be surprised if they suspend him, especially because, you know, Draymond didn't get suspended any more than he was. But I don't think those two plays are comparable. One was super dirty
at all.
and one was just unfortunate. Like Draymond swiped in the wrong spot, just being active. So, all right, that's it from here. We will be back after. Wait, unless you're going to San Francisco again on Saturday.
I will keep you updated.
We'll see. I think we'll probably be back on Saturday, but if not, then on Monday. All right. So that is it from here. I am Double G. For Bry. See you when we see you. Peace out.